r/AskWomen. Michael Michelle J says, what movie or movies speak to you as a woman, and why? / Wasp or Kid Lawix says, Clueless, Sailor Moon, Mamma Mia, Mean Girls, Veronica Mars, Heartbreak High. Just normal, realistic depictions of how girls interact with other girls and guys too. Siranajig says, not movie, but show. Nothing grabbed me like that. The Power, on Amazon Prime. Disc 080 Nat says, oh man, this one on Netflix that came out in 2023, I think, with Mila Kunis, gripped me. Priscilla, I felt everything. Elephant General says, their eyes were watching God. Hootie Anthus Now Crab says, Erin Brockovich, I grew up watching that movie and it made me feel like I could have a voice too. That I could stand up, be myself, and be heard. The fact it's inspired by a true story gives it even more meaning. It's what got me into female empowerment. Dangerous Potato 6492 says, eat, pray, love. Just a lot. Dinosaur in a Apartheid says, Valhalla Rising because WTF is going on. Van Chica says, American Beauty. The Neighbor's Mom, the girl in question. Both. Dakaveen says, real women have curves. Mother and daughter themes always get me. Everything everywhere all at once. Again, mommy issues is a huge theme for me. And of course Amelie, great example of what I aspired to be like as an adult woman. Examples of the joy of solidarity, but also the sadness of loneliness, and OFC eventually finding love as a little weirdo. Genshram 23 says, promising young woman probably speaks to me due to current times, it speaks louder daily. Jenk 011 says, the Help and Moller's Game. Quirky Week 7045 says, Barbie, just because the different aspects of emotions it touches on and the standards that's placed on women and our place in society. Billie Eilish song at the end really hit hard as well. Either Payment 7490 says, Corsage by Mary Kreutzer. Empress Sissy wants to live her life without restrictions. It shows how she fights to be herself and how depression and melancholy always accompany this pursuit. Let's Be Conscious says, eat, pray, love. On a Journey 314 says, Manalysis Smile. Lots of important issues covered. Blood and Guts says, Uptown Girls 3, that movie, and both actresses Dakota Fanning and Brittany Murphy always do an amazing job at showing how different people deal with loss/neglect. Growing up too fast/staying childlike as an adult are really portrayed well. And the teacup ride scene at Coney Island always makes me sob. Blood and Guts says, Uptown Girls 3, that movie, and both actresses Dakota Fanning and Brittany Murphy always do an amazing job at showing how different people deal with loss/neglect. Growing up too fast/staying childlike as an adult are really portrayed well. And the teacup ride scene at Coney Island always makes me sob. Blood and Guts says, Uptown Girls 3, that movie, and both actresses Dakota Fanning and Brittany Murphy always do an amazing job at showing how different people deal with loss/neglect. Growing up too fast/staying childlike as an adult are really portrayed well. And the teacup ride scene at Coney Island always makes me sob. Blood and Guts says, Uptown Girls 3, that movie, and both actresses Dakota Fanning and Brittany Murphy always do an amazing job at showing how different people deal with loss/neglect. Growing up too fast/staying childlike as an adult are really portrayed well. And the teacup ride scene at Coney Island always makes me sob. r/AskWomen. Ifrik Ingloverblend says, in your opinion, what's the best rom-com of all time? John Clanespinas says, When Harry Met Sally. Ashenskula says, Happiest season Kristen Stewart and Mackenzie Davis in a trope-filled mess of a movie I've watched like 7 times. The feels is good too, but happiest season did the comp part better. Fun Machine 7238 says they came together. Kiss Vibing says 51st dates. D1 Cinchant Unicorn says my top 5, The Wedding Singer, Crazy Rich Asians, 13 Going on 30, Return to Me, While You Were Sleeping. AskWomen says The Notebook, A Walk to Remember. Advanced Film 334 says Knocked Up. Excellent Piece 900 says Crazy Stupid Love Wins Any Day. What a script, what characters and what execution, just wow. Ladder Magnolia 87 says While You Were Sleeping. Potras says The Notebook. Just Sarah 82 says Persuasion. Camping with Kids says While You Were Sleeping. Pink Sweet Spit says Top 2 You've Got Mail. The Nanny Diaries. Outplay Ed Porn says Music and Lyrics. Crystal Queen 3000 says I Love You Philip Morris. Shark 369 says The Notebook. Senestant says Harold and Maude. Grouchy Crew 2003 says The Proposal. Safara Jet says When Harry Met Sally. Rakuta Carrot says He's just not that into you. Jim Ethelute 86 says Sleepless in Seattle. It's Jen again says I have a soft spot for The Wedding Singer. BMSLP 21 says The Holiday. Iusion says Love Actually. Eternity says Something Borrowed. Godum Netzara says Fools Rush In. No Contest. Fun Transition 5948 says The Proposal is an all-time fav. Knockdown Crazy says Love Actually and How to Steal a Million. Love Actually is a more traditional rom-com. How to Steal a Million to me is a classic romance with comedy. Runners up 10 Things I Hate About You. Kate and Leopold. The Holiday Edit. Spelling P. Nacho Eating Zombie says Wedding Singer. The song about Linda always makes me laugh my butt off. Wisp on Thine says Malrats. Lalipalish says French Kiss is a Cracker. Snooker and Whiskey says Fools Rush In. Find My Harbor Code says Comrades, Almost a Love Story. Equal Box 7066 says Moonstruck. Little Monster 4N says 4 Christmases. Throror says Valentine's Day. Honey Bob says Life as We Know It and Love. Rosie, I agree with a lot of the others too. Lexi Ibu 97 says The Wedding Planner. Deblethebubble says Austinland. Rossbrookton says Sleeping with Other People. Mahalarin says My Big Fat Greek Wedding. r/AskWomen. Sugar Fairy 425 says how do you deal with a friend who just wants to talk about guys? I know dating apps are a huge thing now, but how do you deal with a friend who will change the subject in conversation all the time to talk about the new guy they're talking to every week? Joe Foffman says leave. Necrophilia says I have a friend like this RN and it sucks cause I just got out of a 4-year relationship. I'll let her talk for a bit, and if she wants advice I give her some. But then I try to use the breakup to remind her that guys are out there not even mentioning our names at engagement bar celebrations sometimes. Like they will talk career, sports, stocks, games, hobbies, music etc. before they even get to relational conversations. I try to encourage them to stick to these topics, because we shouldn't have to have men be the focal talking point all the time, and it would help me stay firm in my sense of self. Anxious Scratch says, man, grass is greener on the other side lol. I've never really had girl talks with another girl and I would love to talk about guys all day just because it's fun. Mostly because I was lonely and never got to discuss such topics before in childhood or teenagehood. I missed out on a lot, but when girl talk does come up as an adult, I'm usually dying to talk about guys because it's a fun topic, or I want another woman's perspective on it, but I'm afraid it would come off as immature. What I'm trying to say is, maybe your friend's situation is like that. Maybe she never got the opportunity to just gush and shoot the shit. Maybe she feels safe with you to let it all out. If it really annoys you, just straight up tell her, hey, I don't really want to talk about men today. Let's talk about / whatever it is / instead. Dr. Fiank says, I really don't mind. Unless they're just draining me and they are never really open to what my life is about and fail to ask me anything about what's new with me. Then this interaction is one-sided and noxious. Cut off immediately. Raspberry he says, I have no problem with it personally. Dating / relationships are difficult, and so can men. It's a way of bonding time together to commiserate and relate. Goingavilma says, I've had this happen before, and I've also been the one who does it. In my experience it's usually because it's a way of escapism for the person, especially if it's a new thing they are doing. If it's a really good friend, you should sit with them and let them know how you feel and that you care about them, and also ask if everything is okay. It could just be that she's boy crazy right now and no deeper reason. That's fine too, but just talk to your friend. Hey, I wanted to talk to you about something. I love you and I'm always here for you, but lately I feel like we've been talking a lot about the boys you're dating. That's totally great, and I'm happy for you and want to be here for you as much as I can, but it's becoming a little draining for me / or it makes me feel like. Darling Free says, if it's annoying you much then talk to your friend about it. They are not going to know unless you tell them. Say that you are interested in their dating life, but it shouldn't be all you two talk about. Good luck. 3. Pancake Queen 13 says, I've distanced myself from friends like this before. In my experience, people, not just women, who are obsessed with dating and always thinking about their next hookup are either lacking some maturity or they don't have a great sense of their self-worth, or a bit of both. I try to encourage these people to find other interests and hope they'll eventually work it out, that they don't need to be connected to someone romantically to be an interesting person, but if they don't let off the gas about the boy / girl craziness after 6 months, I conclude we aren't in the same stage of life to keep hanging out. That's all for this video. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe.